Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it is almost the weekend, which means a hopeful day of rest for myself and many of others. Looking forward to it because it's been a really busy week. Not bad, but just good gracious. I feel like I've been running a marathon all week. So a couple of things in the news. I'll get through the easy stuff first. In France, they're about ready to start the Olympics over there, and they're having, of course, lots of problems, as one would assume, with all of these migrants, these illegals that are just flooding the city. Many of you have seen videos over the last several months of how Paris has just turned into, a dump. I mean, they're everywhere. It's everywhere. And so the train system was shut down by some type of terrorist attack. They've got airports shut down. They've had to bus migrants out. There's been violence. There's reports of athletes participating in the Olympics that their stuff is being looted and stolen. And it's a mess. And you might say, yeah, well, that's over there. It's not here. So what? It's just a sign, a little window, a peek into the future of what's to come here in the United States. I mean, in certain places in the United States, it's already at that level. Certain communities and areas where they're just absolutely overrun. But this is just gonna continue happening. Without going into the very long discussion of, this has been planned for decades. You go back 20, 30 years ago, United Nations was working on plans to move basically people from south of the equator to north of the equator. I mean, as simple as that, because too many people south of the equator and not enough people north of the equator. And we got to do that, and that's going to change demographics, and it'll make it easier to control, create a lot of chaos, a lot of violence, just a lot of breakdown. And that's happening. And so, here in America, as we complain about the millions and millions that keep crossing illegally, I mean, it's just going to get worse. And now it's looking more and more likely that there's at least a better chance. And of course, I'm saying that if everything goes legally, of a Kamala Harris presidency. That border is going to stay wide open. Speaking of that, looks like it's pretty much a sure thing that Kamala, whatever her name is going to be the presidential candidate officially for the Democrat National Party. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama have endorsed her. And it's interesting, whether it's true or not, probably a little truth to it. They're trying to portray her candidacy as it's energetic. It's, this all kinds of energy behind it. And young people are showing in polls, at least the ones that they're saying, okay? Understand, I know there's a difference between the truth and what they're saying. But what they're saying is that the young people under 35 are very, lots of energy behind her becoming the president. They're showing videos and stuff that look kind of similar to stuff that Donald Trump does. His rallies were just, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people, are excited and showing up for her. Very different than Joe Biden's presidency. So, she's running, and between that and the fact that they have no problem with tinkering with the election results, I think there's a pretty good chance there. As far as the Middle Eastern thing, which I was talking about the last couple of days, she's talking out of both sides of her mouth there. On one hand, she's talking very supportive of the Palestinians, and then on the other hand, talks to Benjamin Netanyahu that that America will always support Israel and their plight against Iran and Hamas and Hezbollah and all this kind of stuff. They're already doing a lot of manipulation. The internet's trying to scrub a lot of her history, her past. that back before she was even a candidate for vice president, she was called the most liberal senator in Washington. The whole debacle with her being named the border czar and then never actually going to the border or doing one thing about it. So you could directly blame her for a lot of the millions and millions and millions of illegals that's crossed the border. And of course, you and I know that may absolutely be the worst, presidential candidate that we've ever seen. And I know that's saying a lot considering we have Joe Biden, right? But man, she's awful. She made some statement. I'm not going to quote it directly, but basically saying that, with her presidency, in the end, everyone will be made equal. Everyone will be, brought to the same playing field. And it sounded very much like communism. So that is what we have to look forward to. Now, that doesn't mean that this election's going to not be manipulated and stolen and cheated and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it could definitely happen. And I think that the very real possibility of some type of a war, like I've been telling you, before the election is very possible, because they need lots of distractions. They need, to get people to not focus on the fact of who is actually being in office. That this is the person that 4 years ago was the least popular Democrat, and now is the darling child of the party. Basically, they've had to swallow hard and given the ick face, but they've accepted her. The dirt slinging and the corruption and all the bad stuff is certainly not over. It's like only begun. So the message that I've been saying for quite a while is that between now and the election, expect a lot of things to happen and expect it to just continually get worse. It is more so now than ever, because they've got to keep you distracted and not focused on who she really is and what's really going on. So we can't let our guard down. That's the big thing. And it's not necessarily just political, because honestly, it's not so much the politics, it's the aftermath, it's the results of the politics, it's the results of the politicians, it's the results of the government that affect us. And we have to brace ourselves for that. Get ready, because it's coming, folks. It's coming. There's still more protests and stuff going on because of Benjamin Netanyahu. A lot of the pro-Palestinian protests are just continuing on, and some of the ones that were arrested are being released. So there you go with that. That's not a big surprise. They did that with the whole BLM riots. We're watching the nation just fall apart. Thought it was very telling that one of the very first things that Kamala Harris did after it being announced that she was the new candidate for the Democrats was that she announced that and talked about her candidacy on a drag queen show. She went on some, evil drag queen show, and she talked about that. If you think that things were bad with Joe Biden, if you think that the country took a hard left turn, you just wait till this woman gets in the office. Yeah, just wait. You ain't seen nothing yet, is what I would guess. And, you can go out and vote. I'm not saying don't, but I think the last election proved that our votes really don't mean anything, because it's all who controls what was it? It's not who controls the vote, it's who controls the counting of the votes. And that's exactly what we're going to probably deal with. It may not be the exact way, but one way or the other. They're not going to let this one go by without tinkering with the numbers. And so even if America doesn't fall and the apocalypse doesn't happen and all this kind of stuff before the election, it's going to be rough for a while. Now, what if Donald Trump does pull off a win? Well, it'll be rough too, because the left will absolutely lose their minds. I think that There's still a strong possibility of that at some point all of this ends in some type of civil war. You know, it may not be a civil war what we saw 200 years ago. It may not be civil wars that are seen in Africa and other places, but there will be an ever increasing conflict between the left and the right, between, you know, globalists, communists, Marxists, and traditional conservatives, and it's going to become more and more violent. That's what they're pushing for. You know, that's their whole order out of chaos kind of thing. They've got to create a lot of craziness because they offer the solution, right? That's why we keep getting ready. I mean, that's the best thing that you can do right now. Spiritually, of course, is number one. Physically and mentally, go hand in hand with it. And we've got to be ready for what is being thrown at us. And it's going to get worse and worse. I mean, there's just no other way around it. So folks, please just keep at it. I know you're all working really hard to kind of get yourselves ready for what we're facing and will face. And I'm just telling you, don't slow down, don't stop, because it's just a daily thing now. And I suspect it's going to stay like that for quite some time. It's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.